Hey there everyone, this is Samuel Johnson and welcome back to the Ben 10 Retrospectives, and today we're going to be looking at episode 23 of the original Ben 10 series, They Lurk Below. And in this episode, Max takes Ben and Gwen on a trip to see, or they're invited, to see an underwater resort, or the world's first underwater resort, that's being made by one of Max's old friends by the name of Donovan Grantsmith, who's a multi-billionaire who owns millions of resorts around the world. He's using this as a cat. He wants to get publicity for this prize, and so he invited Max to attend. And as a treat to Ben and Gwen, he said yes. And at the resort, Donovan also has his grandson, whose name is Edwin, who kind of is not very nice. He doesn't really seem to like his grandfather, and he doesn't really seem willing to talk with Ben. He's kind of cynical. He doesn't really want to talk with Ben or Gwen. He's not. They don't really make a lot of friends. They don't really make friends with him very quickly. So Donovan shows the Tennysons the resort. Max has reservations because it's in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle, but Donovan just brushes it off with superstition. And so when they get down there, after Ben saves one of his workers because of a power surge, Donovan and Max go off and to catch up on old times while the kids are all getting their own tour from Edwin. And during the children's tour, they come across this underwater ship called the Undersea Manta Ray, which it belongs to Donovan. And they take it out for a ride because it'd be fun, and Edwin knows how to drive it somehow. But as they're going around underwater, they come across a graveyard of ships and planes, and they see some weird glowing things in this crevice, and soon they're attacked by these strange robotic octopus aliens or whatever, and they start banging on the ship. They manage to crack the hull. They want to sink it, and so Edwin sends out an SOS while when he's not looking, Ben goes ripjaws and starts taking out many of the aliens attacking the ship. But at the same time, more of these aliens are attacking the resort, and so they're trying to break through the hull of the outer hull of the resort before they're to try and flood it. But while Ben is able to take care of most of the aliens, but he times out before he can finish them all off. So they get back to the resort, but by the time they get there, the aliens have broken through the glass into the resort, they're flooding it, so they all get away, and after Edwin chastises Donovan or yells at him because he apparently took something, Donovan reveals that when he built the resort, he was originally, he actually said this earlier in the episode, he wanted to tap into underwater volcanoes to power it up like a big steam engine, but that was a bust, and the resort was doomed to fail. But while he was exploring the underwater graveyard of ships and planes, he found this strange, weird energy source. And when he uses that, and he took it and used it to power his resort. And these aliens are obviously the owners of said power source, and they obviously want it back. So the Tennyson. So at this point, they really can't fight them off. They have to just run, and they manage to get on a escape boat, but one alien had stowed away underneath it and broke it in two, separating the adults and the kids. Ben goes alien and saves Gwen and Donovan Edwin. And Edwin pretty much puts together that Ben is all these aliens because whenever they showed up, Ben just vanished. So he's not stupid. So they manage to make their way through the flooding resort, and they discover the power source, and at this point they don't want the aliens getting it, because if these are the aliens that are behind the conspiracy of the Bermuda Triangle, it's probably not a good idea to let them have all this power. So Edwin rewires the power source so that it will implode and destroy and take out the resort and all the aliens. They manage to get to a sub. They surely manage to get to a sub. Ben goes upgrade to make it usable. They get back to the surface, and Donovan learns a lesson because the guy has just been trying to groom. The reason that Edwin and him are strained is because he's trying to groom Edwin into being the heir to his metaphorical throne. get all of it. So he's just been trying to make him like him, and Edwin resented that. So with the threat of almost losing his grandson, he puts everything in retrospect for him. So, and I admit it's good. It's kind of nice, small but nice. So, okay, so since I've now gotten my usual spoiling out of the way, I might as well talk about my thoughts on the episode, and I think it's all right mostly. Like, I kind of like the setting and idea of an underwater resort, and I kind of like that. I do like, and it is kind of nice because it does add a kind of an otherworldly feel to the whole thing. Just to have all just to be underwater, surrounded by all this stuff, and the designs and sets, just kind of, it's just sort of the layout of an underwater setting, and I like, and they do kind of work it well with how they draw the resort, the colors that are reflected, and just kind of, and just even the music kind of helps making it just kind of make it feel like time is running out, and I and in that respect I do like that. It's a setting, and even the aliens themselves, the Bermuda Triangle aliens, they are, for all intents and purposes, can actually be pretty threatening because they don't talk, you don't know a thing about them, and they just seem unrelenting. They just keep attacking and appearing, and no matter how many are destroyed, more just keep appearing. It looks like that they can't just no matter what happens, you can't get rid of them. It's just they actually are pretty intimidating, and and the way the music goes, the music is actually kind of one of the best in this episode. Just kind of how fast paced it is. That time is running out. You have to find a way to get out of it. You have to get out as quickly as you can. It's really nice, but I think a major flaw about this episode is ironically the villains. Because again, I know I just said that they can be creepy and that you don't know a thing about them, and just how unrelenting they are. But the problem is you don't know anything about you. That's one of the things I said. You don't know anything about them. You don't know what they are. You don't know why they're attacking. You know why they're attacking. They want the power source, but you don't know why they've been in the Bermuda Triangle doing all this stuff, or even what they plan to do, and even what their motivation was. Like, because again, odds are they're not very good because they are very unrelenting and they're obviously evil, like because they keep attacking everyone in the resort, but you don't really know anything about them. You don't know because they don't talk. Which, again, all this stuff can be a positive. It does add to the disturbing factor, because these things are unrelenting and they just keep coming. But what kind of makes it wrong, but I think what makes it kind of flawed is that you don't know a thing about them, and you don't know their motivation, you don't know their backstory, you don't even know why they're on Earth. I think the implication could easily be that they crash landed, and that may be one of the reasons why they took all these planes and so forth, and in that respect, it would make sense why they're attacking. They need that power source that they want to leave. It's the power source of their ship, obviously. So, and maybe that's one of the reasons why they're attacking. They're just desperate to get it back, and they can't communicate. In fact, that might be one of the reasons why they've been. I mean, yeah, it is just obviously him. But at this point, again, it's not. It is sort of a half and half with them. On one hand, they are kind of terrifying just because of how unrelenting and how fast they are. That they may not even be sentient enough to know this or sapient enough. But on the other hand, you don't really know their motivations or their backstory. It's just again, it's a kind of a half and it's kind of a whichever one you think is better. And I suppose maybe in this case the creepiness outweighs the lack of knowledge. So. And again, and I kind of do, and sort of the moral of this is kind of something you have for an adult, like Donovan, just Donovan having to learn to accept his grandson and not force his way of life onto him, and I do kind of like see again. It's not really. I'm sorry. I'm really not thinking of much for this episode. There's not really much to it. There's nothing grand or epic, but there are some good things in it. Because I have mentioned I like the setting. I do like how much they make this thing a chase and an escape from underwater, having these creatures, these aliens attack unrelenting. You don't know a thing about them. They're not even your standard villains. They don't talk. They don't seem to be reasoned with. And I know there's the moral with Donovan, but it doesn't really feel like that's what makes the episode good. I think it's just an okay episode overall. It's got a nice setting. It's the villains are the villains. Well, you don't know much about them. Can have the nice chasing, can add for a nice chase, and I like them again. And they do obviously want to make this kind of a chase story because throughout the entire episode, the Tennysons are being chased by them, and again they're unrelenting. These aliens just seem to appear no matter where they go. They can't get rid of them no matter how many they take out. And again the music just kind of adds to the urgency of you need to get out of here. That you were doomed. Yada 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 yada. And just on the whole, I think They Lurk Below is an alright episode. It's gotten that because again I like the setting, I like the tone it sets, and even the villains while not you don't know much about them can add to the mood. So I really can't think of much for the episode. I think it's alright, not great, but alright. It's got, and yeah, there's not really much I can say for this episode, and the lighting is awful because the sun is going down and I don't dare turn on a light, so I apologize. So I'm hoping that next week the lighting will be a lot better because I'm probably gonna be doing this during the day, maybe, possibly, but yeah. If you still sat around through all my mumbling, I salute you and thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and tune in next week where I will hopefully have more to say, as we're going to be looking at another one of my favorite episodes in this case, and we get to see more of one of my favorite aliens as he takes on a new entire look. So, yeah, again, thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and I will hopefully see you next week. Take care.